What's up, everybody? Brian Mann here, hands-on auto training. End of day, September 21st, 2021. Wow, what a day. I spent almost 95% of my day, it seems like, down in the salt mine. That's always interesting going down there. I'm working on this 2005 Chevy Duramax diesel. They called me about 3 or 4 weeks ago saying it wasn't running, and I've been trying to get down there. Finally, the elevator's working today, so third time's the charm, right? So anyways, this vehicle, they told me, was setting some codes, communication codes, like a U0105, a U0107, I think a U0073. These are all for the CAN bus on the vehicle. There's a CAN bus that runs between the transmission control module, the engine control module, the glow plug control module, and the fuel injector control module. That's kind of what I thought I was getting into. I thought I was dealing with a crank no start situation. Well, lo and behold, we get out there, I go 2,000 feet down, I go a mile or so out, and we get out there, and boy, this thing's parked back in a little cove, if you will, and it's just sitting there. And I go reach into it, and the key was in ignition. The ignition was in on position, so, and the vehicle was actually in drive or neutral. So they probably pushed or pulled this thing there out of the way weeks ago. So those batteries were stone cold dead. There was like 0.6 volts in the batteries. So we had to go locate jumper cables. There's also no outlet, so I couldn't run my battery charger. It was quite the challenge. That's how it usually is down there. So anyhow, we get this thing jumped and have some power going to the batteries. I turn the key on to the run position just to see what's going on. I want to see what lights are on the dash, and this thing starts cranking right away. It just starts crank. I'm like, what the heck? So I played with this ignition switch, and sometimes it would crank and sometimes it wouldn't. Kind of odd, but I did not have a check engine light. So I kind of got on a detour about my check engine light, and I think the bulb's burned out in the dash. I really do. I don't think it's operating properly. So anyways, because I checked my powers and grounds and my PCM, everything was there. I'm like, what? And I also had communication with my PCM as well. So when I had the communication with the PCM was setting at U0105 and the U0073 codes all the time. That's for the fuel injector control module communication, and also the U0073, something about a CAN bus counter reset. I guess there's some sort of counter that's looking for messages, and when it gets out of sync, or I'm assuming something of that nature, it'll set that code. So I spent some time on this thing, and I don't have much to say about it. First off, we spent the time trying to figure out why it cranked most of the time when it went to run. It turns out I believe that's just going to be a bad ignition switch. I actually cut the yellow wire just to make it stop cranking, and we always have voltage on the yellow wire going up to the column there to the ignition switch. So, or from the ignition switch, it's always hot. So that being said, I went over to the fuel injector control module. I checked all my powers and grounds there. I scoped out the CAN bus signal with my U-scope. The U-scope is great for that. This is one of its places that excels when you don't want to bust out the Pico or something else crazy. But I kind of wish I had a larger screen at this instance on this one, because this pattern was kind of okay. It wasn't the cleanest pattern I'd like to see, but it was usually what I would say would be good enough based on my experience. But the powers and grounds were good there. I also checked it at the glow plug control module. Signal looked good. The flow chart said to disconnect everything and check for continuity to ground. So I figured, well, I better just do this. I'm trying to cover my tail and do the job right for my customer here. So I unplugged TCM, ECM, fuel injector control module, and the glow plug control module, checking the basically checking for continuity to ground, and these were OL all the time, so ultimate resistance, if you will. It wasn't even reading mega ohms. It was just reading total open circuit to ground, which is perfect. At this point, the flow chart that I have says to replace the fuel injector control module. I'm very hesitant about this. It just doesn't seem right to me. Excuse me, I'm having trouble talking and my mouth is dry. I'm dehydrated today down there. So anyhow, I think that this module may fix it, may not. The bad news is I called the GM dealer, discontinued. I'm looking around online. I can't find much. It's pretty slim pickings. So we'll see. But we're going to get an ignition switch in there, and then we're going to see what happens. The next job of the day, which was my final job I'm on my way home from, was a 2015 Chevy Silverado. I take that back. 2015 Chevy Express. And this was a transmission control module. Real easy job. I love them. I needed something easy after the hard most of my day. By the way, I did pick up the fuel pressure adapter set that I needed. Unfortunately, I had to get it from Snap-on, so I paid a pretty penny for it, but this is the setup I need. I'm really curious, for those of you that have other aftermarket gauge sets, if it came in there. Maybe I should have just been more patient, but at least I have this, so I'm all set next time. So guys, remember, if you're signed up for the core or premium subscription starting next month, you're going to be entered in to win a drawing for the U-Scope. I'm excited to be giving these things away. I hope you guys are all doing good. I'm exhausted. It's time to go home. You guys have yourself a great evening. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye.